the station that's on your side. This is Channel 7 News Good Morning Arkansas.
Welcome back to Good Morning Arkansas, everyone. If you're thinking about purchasing a home, you'll most likely need a mortgage. While you might expect to share some basic personal information during the mortgage lending process, some folks are actually surprised by the number of questions that come up. Don't worry, you don't have to stress. Here to share more is Jacob Rice, a mortgage lender with the Bank of Little Rock Mortgage. Now, Jacob, you say the more information your loan officer actually has about your situation, the better equipped they will be to navigate the process and find solutions that work best for you. So, Jacob, we want to know, what is the most commonly overlooked information people might not know will actually affect their mortgage and should be prepared to share with their lender?
That's right. Good morning, Victoria. Thank you for having me. It is important for borrowers to feel comfortable sharing information and to be open with their financial picture. Really, it's just for the ease of handling the transaction in the smoothest possible way. So the more information we have, the easier it is to get the end result and the job done. To answer your question right off the bat, most people might not know that we do need a 24-month history of your residence. So if you've recently sold a home, or if you've even lived short term with someone, a cousin, for a little while, it is important to know that we will need that gap in where you lived. It doesn't necessarily change your borrowing ability, but it does help us have that information to document so it doesn't slow down the process.
Okay, so Jacob, we know comprehensive residency history over the past 24 months is one example, right? What other information would lenders need to know to help borrowers navigate the mortgage process then?
Yes, most importantly, primarily job and income changes are also good. We do need a 24-month history of that as well. So very importantly, if you've changed your the type of pay, if you've gone from salary to hourly or switched to a commission-based structure, that's very important to know. And then also the 24-month history on jobs. Employers or lenders do look at a 2-year employment history. So even if you had a short-term job there as well somewhere, don't forget to list that job as well. We do need that information. So just, think about the last 2 years. What have you done? What have changed? Because a lot of people don't really recount that over much time and often forget to mention some small aspects there.
Okay, so I'm sitting here thinking, while it might not necessarily be extremely apparent as to why borrowers need to share these big life events, you would think that most people actually understand why they need to, especially when it comes to that bigger financial picture. So what are some other bits of information, I guess, would we need to think about on the same kind of page as this, Jacob, when it comes to asking questions that we may originally forget to disclose? Right.
Another big one is, say, marital status, along with, we can talk about later, credit too. But the marital status is always good to know. Especially any imminent changes to marital status, whether you're getting married or possibly getting separated or divorced, is good to know, especially prior to closing a loan, holding title. If you've got another spouse or partner that is, may or may not want to be on the loan, there may be reasons for looking at that. And it's usually best to look at that on the front end, just so we can walk you through those options prior to coming under contract or getting too deep into the process and thinking, oh, I need to add my wife, or I need to add my husband or whatnot. And that just helps us, again, ease of process and helps make it a smoother transaction for everybody involved.
Are there any final disclosures, I guess, Jacob, that you can think of that would be important to tell your mortgage lender about during this process?
Yes. Again, just be open with your lender, share this information. We're a friend and a partner. I know a lot of the information can be sensitive, but the information really just stays between the two of us. And again, it's just to help that client out as best as possible. To answer your question, credit is also always important. People should monitor their credit at least annually, probably to make sure they're in good shape. For most lending purposes or credit or insurance purposes, a 740, the mid 700 scores are best for some of those pricing aspects. But what's most important on our application or prequal status would be if you're borrowing other money, if you needed to borrow a car or buy a car, or if you ended up applying for other credit during the mortgage process, it's important to let your lender know that. That way we can factor it in. It's going to have to be factored, and we can look at it in advance to determine whether or not it may or may not be a problem, and gain the documentation we need to make sure it's good.
Well, Jacob, we are about out of time. I know that you guys have steps on your website as to help with things like credit and kind of getting it improved ahead of going into this process, along with many other tips and tricks our viewers would need to know. So if they would like to reach out to you to get that information, where can they do that at?
Absolutely. Give us a call. Our direct number is 501-219-9100. Obviously, our website is blrmortgage.com, and obviously you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. But yeah, give us a call. We're always happy to have conversations.
All right, beautiful. Jacob Rice, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all about the tips and tricks you have with the mortgage lending process today.